All right, everybody, good evening to you. I am forecaster Nick Dunn alongside meteorologist Mike Joyce. We have a tornado warning. This is our first one of the day. This is going to be for Hancock County in northwest Ohio until 6:45 this evening. I'm sorry, till 6 o'clock this evening. They've actually went a little bit shorter in that. The severe thunderstorm goes until 6:15. Tornado warning until 6 o'clock. And Mike, this is for radar indicated rotation, but this is a wicked looking Boeing structure that we haven't seen one like this come through in quite some time. But if there's not a tornado, there's going to be the potential for widespread damaging straight line winds. There have already been multiple reports of 60 plus mile per hour winds coming through Van Wert County already.
Right, absolutely. And this one does have very interesting structure. Again, I believe the majority of the damage of this is still from this storm is still probably going to come from straight line wind. So that is going to be where you're going to see widespread damage across portions of the warning, and I believe that's probably why they have most of Hancock County under the tornado warning, just to kind of cover their bases. But there is that little pocket of potential rotation, Nick. I believe it's a little bit closer to Bluffton. Is that kind of where we're looking there? Maybe
It looks like the Columbus Grove area in particular, and I've got the velocity queued up here, folks. There's 70 plus mile per hour winds now. Keep in mind, this is a radar dead zone, if you will. Okay, another new tornado warning. Putnam County's now been added until 5:45. So we now have a new tornado warning now for, it's a very small portion of Putnam County, but that's our second tornado warning. And based on the velocity returns that we're seeing, I am not surprised whatsoever. To give you a little bit better look at velocity, we are going to briefly switch you over to the National Weather Service out of Northern Indiana site. Let me switch over here to Severe 2. Let's switch over. There we go. So right over Pandora, Columbus Grove, near Bluffton, there are some very intense wind readings in here, over 70 miles per hour. In fact, approaching, there's one there over 75 miles per hour. So, Mike, this is certainly a risk for damaging winds. Granted, we're looking quite a ways up from the radar in North Webster, Indiana, but this is a really dangerous situation. And Findlay is a pretty large populated area across parts of Hancock County. That's the county seat. Obviously, it's not a huge town, but there's certainly some concern. These folks have got to get below ground right away in Hancock County, and also now southeastern Putnam County as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is, again, moving to the northeast. So Findlay, right in the middle of that tornado warning, like you said, the most populated part, the county seat, of course, of Hancock County. And that's a big highway junction as well. I-75 running through Hancock County. We also have Route 30 and Route 30 runs a little south of that. We're talking Route 15 and 224 that run right through Findlay, and those are going to be some major impacts as well. And I know we heard about that semi that was tossed over down in Fayette County earlier today due to another thunderstorm. So in situations like these where you have more widespread straight line wind event, especially on a north-south highway like that, that could cause some problems. But yeah, again, we are really watching for rotation, specifically Bluffton, Rawson, I-75 not far away, and just zooming out how much this storm itself, how much potential it has. I mean, if you go down into Hardin County, Ada, about to get slammed with some wind there and some heavy rain, lightning still back by Lima. So the potential for this storm still really has some wide-reaching potential.
It does. And one thing to mention, if you're traveling on I-75 right now, you should consider getting off at the nearest exit, finding a more substantial shelter. A vehicle is the last place you really want to be. If there were a tornado, and Owen brings up a good point, it looks like there may have been something on correlation coefficient last scan. But one thing to mention here is, Mike, this is not on the front edge. This is on the back edge of this line. So this is going to be kind of one of those where the inflow's coming in on the backside of the thunderstorm, right, or the precipitation's wrapping around on the front side. So, but if you're on I-75 right now, if you're coming out of Bowling Green, coming south, just stop. I would not come into Hancock County. Just let this thing pass. And it looks like we've gotten another update. That noise you heard in the background there. Okay. Yeah, so the velocity signature is most noticeable on the IWX radar, according to the Weather Service out of Cleveland. yeah, we are seeing that. But folks, this is a rough territory for radar. It's really, really hard to get a great read on this. So just take what we're seeing here, take what we're telling you. We're probably going to stick with reflectivity for the most part, even though, again, it's not a great view. But Findlay, you need to be in a safe place right now. Benton Ridge, your time is about up. Same thing for Rawson. Now, down to the south here, as you head towards Arlington and Vanlue, I think the rotating part of that may pass you to the north. But again, you're in the polygon, so respect it. Macomb, Van Buren, Arcadia, I-75, US 224, US 68. All those are some pretty heavily traveled thoroughfares at times, and especially I-75. It's rush hour. This is a bad time of the day right now for this to be coming through. So again, just get off the interstate at the next exit that you can find. Find a more substantial shelter, gas station, a convenience store, fast food place, just something that's a little bit better than your car at the very least. Most of those places don't have an underground shelter you can go to. The other thing I want to say is if you're in a mobile home community or in a mobile home in general, you got to get out of there and find a more substantial shelter. Mobile homes, they offer great affordable housing, but they are not great for tornadoes like this. Even if this is just a brief 70 to 80 mile per hour tornado that comes out of this, that's enough to flip that mobile home over, even if it's anchored. I've seen that one too many times. Back in the day, I was in high school and I got to see something like that in Shenandoah Commons on the south side of Columbus. Saw a couple of those flipped over, and it wasn't anything above 70 or 75 mile per hour winds. So get out of that mobile home, find a more substantial shelter. Now, sometimes they have a tornado shelter where everybody comes together, but not everybody does. So please find a more safe place so where you are to protect yourself, and obviously get as low as you can, put as many walls between you and the outside, put a helmet on you to protect your head, and obviously do the same protection for your children, and obviously bring your loved furry pets on down to the shelter with you to keep them safe. Don't want them to get caught in the crossfires of any kind of potential debris. Let's go back over to velocity for just a second. And Mike, this is really tough radar up here. I really wish we had another one to go off of, but there's some really intense winds. So even if there is no tornado, winds of even above 60 to 70 miles per hour can cause a lot of problems in a very short amount of time. So unfortunately, this is what we're stuck with. But man, that is a really strong reading on the wind at the very least. Nothing confirmed from spotters on tornadoes yet from what I can see, but still a very dangerous situation.
Absolutely. And, the radar limitations in this area kind of might even give us a little bit of a false sense of security in a way, because if we take a look at the leading edge of the Boeing structure here, we see the precipitation, we see the high wind, and even on the velocity scan like you have up right now, you see some of those high velocities, but it's scanning the storm 7,000 feet in the air. So what's happening on radar might not be the same position of what's happening on the ground. It might be close, but what this means is, and this could be another reason why the Weather Service decided to expand the warning into most of Hancock County is, it means that wherever the tornado might not be exactly where it is on the map. We can get a good estimate of it with this, but we have to broaden the warning a little bit. We have to warn more people just to make sure. And yeah, right there, like you circled, that is our estimated area that it is, but because it's scanning so high, folks in Benton Ridge, Macomb, a little bit ahead of the storm, could be seeing this dangerous situation unfolding very quickly. And these are fast-moving storms, so we have a situation here where if you're in the polygon, no matter where you are, so let's just say all of Hancock County and that small portion of Putnam there, we really got to be in your safe spot. Basements, interior closets, that sort of thing. It's no joke. And like you said, mobile homes, yes, they, are a great affordable housing, but not so much when it comes to even straight line wind. Just getting that wind under the end of it can cause some problems.
Yeah, and one of the good thing here, Owen is just saying that the Twin Lakes Park area needs to evacuate. Yeah, I was just about to say the exact same thing. John Tenney is now saying that we can see the couplet on the Cleveland radar, so I'll take a look at that from another source. Let's switch back over real quick to put an updated track on this storm for you. This is, again, a really dangerous situation now as it continues to move off towards the northeast. And we're going to continue to have to monitor the storm very closely for, obviously, the potential for a tornado and even some widespread damaging winds. Real quick, I thought I had included John's page on this, but I'll go ahead and add him in real quick just his page that is for Northwest Ohio there. But again, as it stands right now, we have an active tornado warning for southeastern Putnam County. That is going to go until, let's see if I got that popped back up there. There we go, 5:45, and then a tornado warning for Hancock County until 6 o'clock. Now, the strongest part of this rotation, what's there, is moving into Hancock County now as we speak. So Benton Ridge, your time is up. You have just a couple of minutes before the rotation is right on top of you. You're going to be moving into Findlay at 5:48, so about another 10 minutes here. And it looks like we've just gotten another update. They continue the tornado warning for Putnam County, capable of producing a tornado. So that's the key. It's still not been indicated just yet. Mount Corey, Bluffton is under the gun. So let's go over to Cleveland now. As Owen is saying, we can see it very clearly over there, so I'll switch over real quick.
I see it on my feed as well. Yeah, it's, wow. So north of Bluffton. Let me zoom in on this a little bit. So 224 and 75 and Findlay. If you're in Findlay, I know Findlay has quite a large population there, so it is certainly a dangerous situation. And if you're in Findlay, stretching up Route 12 into Arcadia, you have time, but not much. So now's the time to be in that safe spot.
Absolutely. And again, so this is a look now from the Cleveland site. And again, the velocity, the signatures just do not look very good whatsoever. These folks have got to be in a safe place now. And really, even though there's the northwestern corner, the northeastern corner, and far southern Hancock County not in the tornado warning, that doesn't matter. Just go ahead and go to your safe place now, even if you're in the severe thunderstorm warning. Just as a course of least regret, it's just a little too difficult to really get too specific. But yeah, as Owen was mentioning, that normalized rotation product is giving this away pretty clearly. So I want to pull that up in just a second here for you to see. But let's go back over to reflectivity again. And in addition, there could be a little bit of hail in here. I'm not seeing anything that would show a sign of debris necessarily on correlation coefficient. But man, this is a really dangerous storm. This is not something you want to play around with. If you're in Findlay, don't go outside. You're not going to see anything. You're just going to see a wall of clouds and a wall of rain. Just go indoors and stay there until this thing passes by. Kind of giving you the best. Again, we're doing the best we can, giving you the most accurate location. But again, if you're in Twin Lakes Park, your time is up, coming right over your area there. Thanks, Owen, for that. The city of Rawson is also getting whacked. Yeah, you guys are getting hit pretty hard. So is Benton Ridge. Again, there could be some hail mixed in there with that. So don't be too surprised if you see that at all. Real quick, I am going to pop up the correlation coefficient product from the Cleveland side of things. And I do want to show you this real quick. So these really area of kind of this darker and bright blue in here, yeah, there's certainly some enhanced areas of rotation at the very least right now into western Hancock County. Again, that's including Findlay. This is moving right up into your area in just a matter of a few moments if it's not moving in already. So be very weary of what's going on there in the Findlay area as we speak. So kind of moving this to the back here for you. And we'll bring the regular radar back up. I do want to switch back over to Severe 2 for just a second because what we are starting to see here, I want to kind of draw why we're seeing the rotation the way it is. Okay, we got a very good strong inflow coming in on the back side, and there's your precipitation wrapping around on the front side. Right in between Mount Corey and Benton Ridge is where that tornado is likely going to be at this point. They have updated the polygon just a little bit. Putnam County's now been allowed to expire, so that's some good news there. We've lost one of the tornado warnings. We'll continue on with the one for Hancock County here until 6 o'clock. At 5:38, severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located near Rawson, near Findlay, moving northeast at 45 miles per hour. So let's get you an updated track now, right on the leading edge of this. We'll track it as what it is. This is a Boeing structure with an embedded area of rotation. But even if we track that off to the northeast, let's go 55, just to give folks a few extra minutes of preparation. Arlington, you're looking at 540. Macomb, you're looking at 541. Findlay, giving you a little bit of an earlier time of arrival. Your time is about up as well. Van Buren, 548. Arcadia, 552. Fostoria, 559. So that's just over the next few minutes where this is going at this point in time. The Hancock County rest stop on I-75 just to the south of Findlay. This will be moving right over top of that in just a couple of moments. So hopefully, again, those of you, if you're traveling along I-75, if you happen to be in that area, hopefully you got off and went into the rest stop to hopefully at least seek a little bit more of a substantial shelter, get into the bathrooms there and put your hand over your heads and protect your head. from flying debris that we may be seeing out there. So, Mike, are you seeing anything else on your side? This still looks wicked, even if there's not a tornado, in my opinion, still.
Yeah, so I actually am looking at the ODOT camera. Let's see, I've got the ODOT camera in Bluffton. I do not have, that looks like it's actually right by that rest area. But if you looking at the ODOT camera on I-75 on the north side of Findlay, it actually looks, I don't see any specific features of it, but I do see at least some low-hanging clouds. We are looking at, on this camera. I wish I could sort of way I could.
Yeah. What's the camera?
I-75 at 224. This is just north of downtown Findlay.
Okay, yep. I'm gonna pop that in here real quick. So let's take a look at that real quick, and we'll see what Mike Joyce was talking about. And this is going to be, there's your low-hanging clouds at I-75 and 224. Now this is likely, this is coming right into Findlay now as we speak. And Cleveland is also mentioning that even just to the north of the rotation, near the apex of the bow, there could be obviously that potential for widespread damaging winds. And again, those could be upwards of 70, maybe even 75 miles per hour. But yeah, this is a quick look at what things look like. You can see these lower hanging clouds. This is, again, looking at the ODOT camera at I-75 and 224. Obviously, these folks need to be getting off the road and finding more substantial shelter. This is not what folks need to be doing at this point in time. So we'll look at that. Let's see if there's another one. Yeah, right now, looks like a couple of these may be offline. Okay, here's a good one. This is US 68 at I-75. You can see extremely poor visibility there, and that's right in Findlay, essentially there at US 68, State Route 15, and I-75. We're watching this very closely. Obviously, again, we have that threat for a tornado potentially be ongoing.
Wow.
Yeah, look at that latest reflectivity signature. That is some spooky-looking stuff right there. Let's go back to reflectivity now. And boy, right over Findlay, coming right in, especially to the south side of Findlay. We can go over to velocity. Yeah, that is that's a very scary looking signature, to say the least. Looking at some other locations that may be in the path of this, kind of zooming in a little bit. You've got the Lake Cascades Corporate Center. You got Fox Run Professional Office Center. You got the Arbors of Findlay in the path of this as well. Hawthorne Estates on the path of this. Mike, I would be really surprised, just based on that reflectivity scan, if there's no tornado, there could be winds causing some serious damage.
Absolutely, yeah. And really, that's going to be the widespread problem across Hancock County, and really, this storm is moving so fast that Findlay, already being impacted. It's next in line, even outside of the warning. Arcadia, West Independence, even Fostoria. Once you move over into Seneca County a little bit, we might even see that up north into Wood County and Sandusky County. So if you're in those counties, still keep an eye on this, because this is heading your way. Whether or not it'll hold its strength as a tornado warning is yet to be determined, but the environment is favorable. And right now, Findlay is under the gun as we speak. I would not be surprised if wind damage is occurring there. Right now, if you look at the I-75 and 224 camera, the straight line wind is coming across the highway as we speak. You can see almost the horizontal rain going on, and it looks like there's some law enforcement on the 224 bridge. I don't see an accident, but there is law enforcement present there, and the visibility is very poor. Just to let you know that's what I see here on my feed next to me.
Yep, and I've got that pulled up now. You can see, again, the very poor visibility. Now, there's a lot fewer cars on the road here, so this is a good sign. But Owen also mentioning the Hancock County Airport, Blanchard Valley, also in the path of this over the next couple of minutes. You guys have got to be in a safe place right now. And again, this is kind of redeveloping just a little bit. It's kind of re-intensifying itself. Sometimes these things tend to cycle, especially in these Boeing-type segments. We can see these. So that's a look at I-75 and 224. It looks like some folks are stopping just before going into that wall of rain, or at least that would be the hope. But at this point, yes, there's your law enforcement vehicle there. I did also want to point out that we are watching another camera just to the south of this. Again, let's go back to US 68 and I-75. You can see the wind-blown rain. Mike, if you go down 2 cameras there on 75 and take a look out on your side, that is near zero visibility, and that does not look very good right now. whatsoever. You can see the sheets of rain on the roadway just blowing sideways, even though this is just a still image. Wow, look at that scan. Folks, that might be going right over the camera as we speak.
I would say so. You have those you can see that surface wind bands there.
Folks, this is a really dangerous situation. You should not be out right now whatsoever. Let's stick with this camera here for just a few more seconds and a few more moments and frames to see what all we can get out of this. We'll keep this camera up as long as there's power to the camera from the Ohio Department of Transportation. As you can see, this semi has stopped right below that. That's going to be one of those lane ends in a certain amount of distance signs. Folks have pulled off. This is a really bad spot to be. This is the last place that you should be. We really hope more folks had a chance to get off the roadway, but this is a really dangerous situation. Those of you in Findlay and also now working off towards the east, you've got Blanchard Valley Hospital. Obviously, they go through different protocols to keep people safe, but man, that is a really, Mike, every frame on that camera at US 68 and 75, we just continue to see continuous horizontal rain bands, and this is every 5 seconds, so this isn't just something that's lasting 10 or 15 seconds and it's done and over with, and this is lasting for an extended amount of time. Really nasty looking situation here. And now let's go over to normalized rotation off the Cleveland radar here for just a second. Let me switch sources here on that. Apologize for that. Let's go over to this. Yeah, that normalized rotation product just over Findlay now. A lot stronger. That is really not a good look at all whatsoever. Wow, that is a very nasty looking situation. Not something that I would want to be out in, to say the least. And I'm gonna make that camera at 75, and there we go. We kind of make this its own little thing now so that everybody can kind of see. So again, that's 75 and 68. These vehicles have been stopped. Maybe it's letting up just a touch now, but we don't want to be so sure. Again, nothing confirmed on the ground at this point, but boy, that camera image sure gave away something that we need to keep our eyes on over the next little bit. So we'll watch that over the next little bit and see what happens. So let's go back to radar real quick, and we will get you an updated look at this as to where it is right now. There it is moving over downtown Findlay, and now continue to progress off towards the east along US 224. Let's go ahead and get you some street names. We can get a couple of street names for you to kind of get you right into the thick of this. You're looking at Main Cross Street, up here to the north a little bit further. If I can get this to populate here, there's Londonderry Drive in the path of this. You've also got portions of McMahon's Avenue. There's State Road 37. There's State Road 568, as you can see popping up on the screen now. And there's several other, obviously this is a residential, you can tell that just by the way the streets look on the map here. But this is a really dangerous situation you don't want to be outside in. Mike, I would think that we're going to see they've now extended a severe thunderstorm warning. They've tagged that with considerable damage now for Seneca County, Crawford County, and Wyandotte County, but I would not be surprised if we see an additional tornado warning here pretty soon.
I would not, and I was, while you were taking a look at some of those rotation characteristics there, I was looking at this thunderstorm is pushing 45,000 feet in the air according to radar, maybe even more than that, just because of the kind of data we're getting from it because of its distance. So this is very strong, not really showing much signs of weakening. Like Nick said, that straight line wind damage is going to be considerable, and this storm definitely did essentially take a direct hit on Findlay. So we will know shortly what has happened in town, and I'm still kind of looking at some of the ODOT cameras on 75. I don't see any.
Hey, Mike, real quick. Okay, never mind. That's outside of our area. Never mind. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Okay, that is. Oh, I see. Because I was looking at Owen's message here. So.
Yep.
Fostoria, Seneca, and Wood County. Yep. So all of those counties are pretty much completely under the severe thunderstorm warning. That would be Wyandotte, Seneca, and Northern Crawford now. So for severe thunderstorm, that is. But still, this storm is intense. There's still that tornado warning for the Findlay area, and it is a major concern.
Yeah. Now we saw what the camera looked like a few minutes ago at I-75 and 68. Now you can actually see
Yeah.
And good news is that semi that was stuck there was not blown over, so that's some good news. But that was really scary there for just a couple of minutes there on that camera. So we're glad to say I don't see any damage, thankfully, at this point in time. Owen was saying that the spotters were. The spotters were showing some signs of rotation there in Hancock County and in the Findlay area, and it looks like the Weather Service in Cleveland will not hesitate to issue an additional tornado warning if need be. But right now, this is wrapped up pretty tight on the eastern side of Findlay. Now, this will head pretty quickly now off towards the east and eventually move into more of a rural portion of Hancock County, at least east of Findlay. There it is. There's US 224 and 568. So obviously the historic downtown district, this has just passed through you. It is now moving up towards Arcadia and West Independence as well. Along US 224, you're looking at also Ohio Route 12, County Road 216, also in the path of this in the near term. So let me see if I can get, I think I'm a scan or two behind on this. Hopefully this will update in just a second. I think we'll get that for you. There's one now. So you can see now this is moving off a little closer towards Arcadia and West Independence. But yes, I think we will see an additional tornado warning shortly. I would be really shocked if we didn't. For at least the rest of Hancock County at the very least. But now, Mike, I'm also seeing some increasing signs of some larger hail in the just to the south of West Independence. They're highlighted by those brighter shades of purple that we're seeing.
Yeah, in fact, that was exactly the next thing I was going to talk about. I was looking at some hail products on radar here. So where that hail threat has been, at least within the last 5 minutes, and will be. Well, wow, I just got a new scan. It seems like this is the, what I'm looking at on my end is the vertically integrated liquid. So basically that just is a product on radar that tells you how high in the atmosphere some of these rain droplets and
new tornado warning, Mike. We got one now for Sandusky and Seneca County. So this may
take over on that one.
Yeah. This may take Owen out of commission for a short time here while this is now impacting his area. But folks, we have a new tornado warning now until 6:30 for South Central Sandusky County. Also portions of Hancock County, so this is kind of an extension. I'm kind of shocked they did not clip Wood County in that. That's interesting. But also most of Seneca County. So this is going to include Tiffin University, New Regal, Fostoria, Bettsville. Also, again, continuing along US 224. Not quite to Republic or Bloomville. But, Mike, I'm looking at that latest velocity signature, and I'll tell you, I mean, I don't know what you're seeing on your end, but there's a lot of wind on the back coming in still on the backside. I'm really impressed. This storm is very impressive, and you called this out earlier today, where northern Ohio could have a tornado threat, and you called this out very clearly. So kudos to you on that. But this is a really dangerous storm, and I think it's going to continue to cycle and likely produce tornado warnings for a little while. This is going into an area that there's nothing else really to compete with. Yes, there's other thunderstorms off towards the east, but there's not much going on out here to compete with this. I think this will continue for at least a little while.
Absolutely. Yeah, and in situations like these, again, that straight line wind threat is still an issue, like you mentioned, but also we were talking about the hail. Some of the storms today have produced very large hail across most or several locations in Ohio, and this one not exempt from that. Damage can be significant, window and siding and cars and all that sort of thing. And that threat is going to be a little bit south of the tornado threat, I believe. So maybe, well, these are spots inside the tornado warning as well, but the difference in location varies by maybe a hair, 2 to 5 miles maybe. So West Independence, Alveda, Springville, of course, in Seneca County, Alveda, just across the Hancock-Seneca line along US 23. So 224 in Seneca County, that is going to be your, really,
that's kind of the track.
Yeah,
that's kind of the track. Yep, exactly.
Right near Tiffin, you don't have much time. You maybe have 10 minutes or so, maybe less. Fostoria, now is the time to be in your safe spot. Arcadia, it's right on top of you. Bettsville, so Bettsville is right on the Sandusky and Seneca County line. And then from there, it would be heading up toward Fremont. Not in the warning yet, but we're certainly going to watch it.
Yeah, absolutely. And real quick, let's go back over to Severe 1 real quick. I do want to show you that this is the latest track on this. I'm tracking it pretty much from the leading edge of the rotation, and I am taking it about an extra 10 miles an hour faster just to give some advanced heads up. But really, I know there's some other communities not listed here, but Green Springs and Clyde eventually would be in the path of this if this were to continue. Now, let's track this as a Boeing structure off to the northeast at some of those same speeds, and you're going to find more communities will pop up. So you have Cary, 557. Southeastern Wood County, you're not in the tornado warning, but if you live in Bloomdale, or if you're just north of Fostoria into Perry Center, I would consider being in a safe place because the northern end of this may just clip Southeastern Wood County, just to be, again, kind of as a course of least regret. Fostoria, 558, Tiffin, 606, Republic, 614, Fremont, 616, and then again, we'll likely see additional warnings issued if this were to continue. But that's the latest track on this as it continues, and the amount of lightning continues to increase. Well over 400 strikes in just the last half hour on this particular thunderstorm alone. Downstream tornado warning has been issued for Seneca and Sandusky. Still watching the northern portion of the bow right along Route 224 east of Findlay now for tornado potential. Hey, Mike, I think at this point we could probably give an all clear to those in downtown Findlay. The rotation has moved on off towards the east, but obviously those east of Findlay need to stay in their safe place for a little while longer.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, Hancock County, not there yet, at least near Fostoria and Arcadia, West Independence, but yeah, Findlay, that would be a spot that we still have thunder and lightning, so that's certainly a dangerous situation on its own accord. But as far as a tornado threat, that is now rapidly moving into Seneca County. So Fostoria, West Independence, Bascom, that's just a hair north of 224 and State Route 635 there. Tiffin, again, a bigger center of population there in Seneca County with Tiffin University in Heidelberg there, and kind of the hub of Seneca County there. But yeah, Fostoria needs to be in safe spot right now. Wood, like that very small portion of Wood County. I believe the Weather Service probably didn't include Wood County just so sirens didn't go off all the way up in Perrysburg and Waterville and Bowling Green, just to keep those folks who are in the clear of the tornado threat at least not warned for it. But yeah, Fostoria, Bettsville, Bascom, and Tiffin, that's really where we're watching this right now. I'm going to try to switch over to velocity or rotation on my end. So yeah, Arcadia is still where that rotation potential is, but again, since we're scanning so high in the atmosphere, that rotation potential really is anywhere between Arcadia and Fostoria at the moment. So we're watching that very closely, and then watch out for that hail threat as well from West Independence down to Cary. I think those are going to be some spots where we really have to watch out for some large hail, and then anywhere at all in these warnings, whether it's a severe thunderstorm or a tornado warning, we have the potential for some very damaging wind, possibly over 70 miles per hour. That's hurricane strength. So this is a big deal. This is a big deal storm, and Seneca County is really feeling the bulk of it at the moment. And not only that, but let's not forget northern Wyandotte as well in that severe thunderstorm, hail, and wind threat as well.
Yeah, and that wind threat is up to 70 miles per hour, so that would be considered a damage tag of considerable. And the other thing I'm noticing is as Mike said, there's the threat for some hail. There are some hail cores in here between Bascom and New Regal. That's right along 224. Also down here towards the Seneca-Wyandotte County line along US 23, north of Cary and north of Upper Sandusky. It should be noted that as we continue to move forward here this evening, I understand that there are additional severe thunderstorm warnings down into the Middle Ohio Valley for Coshocton, Muskingum, Guernsey, and Noble counties. That is a lower-end severe threat at this time. There are also additional severe thunderstorm warnings over in the Wheeling area, but understand that obviously right now our number one concern is this tornado warning. But just to give you a brief update on what is happening elsewhere, I'll leave the radar right here. Zanesville, again, you guys are under the gun for additional severe thunderstorms, potentially with some 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and also over into Pennsylvania, crossing out of our coverage area, Ohio and Marshall counties in West Virginia. Severe thunderstorm warning that has pretty much, with all intents and purposes, moved out of the area. Also, down into Washington County, there is a stronger thunderstorm here. Watching that as well for those of you listening down in southeast Ohio. There's really just a conglomerate of thunderstorms. I'll switch it over briefly just so you can see from Marietta down to Gallipolis. All these are strong to borderline severe, but as of right now, they are staying below severe criteria, and they may stay that way for a little while longer, but obviously we'll keep you updated on any additional warnings that do pop up. So let's get you back to our tornado warning now. Mike, I will say this latest scan, just a touch less impressive, but again, this has shown some signs of cycling. It'll cycle down, it'll cycle back up again, so folks should not be letting their guard down from Tiffin to Bloomville or even into south central Sandusky County just yet.
Yeah, and I'm even seeing a area of concern near New Regal as well. That we had that one area of rotation near Arcadia. Now I'm kind of a little bit more concerned about down near New Regal. And this is a situation where you get these bowing structures, these thunderstorms that have a very intense straight line wind damage threat. These circulations can pop up anywhere in there. So that one area of rotation that we were tracking between Arcadia and Fostoria, well, that has appeared to have weakened. Then we have another one that just popped up near New Regal, which is also in the tornado warning, still a threat to spots like Tiffin and along US 224 and a good portion of central Seneca County. So we really do have to watch out for those little pop-ups as well, especially in these situations where we are far from the radar, still scanning high, but at least what we are getting is a very good approximation of what portion of the county needs to be in their safe spot. So New Regal, Tiffin, Bascom still, and pretty much anywhere along 224 until you almost get to the eastern fringe of Seneca County on the Huron County line. That's out of the threat for at least the tornado potential, but still the severe thunderstorm warning goes all the way to the Huron County line there. So we've got a lot to look out for here in Seneca County, and that's where the main threat is at the moment.
Yeah, and speaking of Tiffin, the University of Tiffin has just been ordered to seek shelter immediately, according to Owen. So not surprising whatsoever is that is heading straight for the area. It was also noted, and Mike, you mentioned that area near New Regal. There was a cell that was just ahead of that bowing structure that kind of got absorbed into the bow, and so there could be some additional rotations that pop up. But Mike, I was looking at the velocity, just the inflows. Those of you at home may have seen it briefly. I mean, there's some 80 to 90 mile per hour winds aloft based on just looking at the velocity on the backside coming into this. So, again, regardless of a tornado, you're likely going to see widespread wind damage, and some of that could be significant. Let me look up some of the power outages here we may be seeing this evening. And real quick looking out, we have jumped, of course, mainly most of that is actually in central and southeastern Ohio. Thankfully, outages so far, knock on wood, have not been anything too substantial, but I've not seen an update since before 6 o'clock. But as of last check, Allen County and Lima had about 500. Fayette and Hocking County well over 1,500. Muskingum County is over 4,000. Miami County is at 1,500. So we are seeing some power outages associated with these thunderstorms today. Obviously, you want to stay indoors and stay in a safe place until this moves out of the area. So, and real quick, it should be noted that if you live over here towards Republic and Attica, Flat Rock, you're not in the warning yet. That's the key word. We could see this extended into further portions of Seneca and maybe even Sandusky County as we continue to move along. So, again, if you're just now tuning in, meteorologist Mike Joyce alongside Nick Dunn, we're tracking a tornado warning that is including portions of Hancock County. And, Mike, they did trim part of Hancock County back, but I wouldn't give up on that northeastern portion of the county just yet, where we had the really strong rotation come through just a little while ago. That could potentially recycle back up. And then also now northern Wyandotte County, a pretty significant looking hail core there, just to the north of Upper Sandusky there towards Cary and Crawford.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm seeing here. Looking at the correlation coefficient product, this is the radar product that lets us tell, or basically lets us know if there's a difference in the particle sizes that it sees in the atmosphere. So if there's a big difference in particle size, that tells us that there might be debris, there might be hail. But if there isn't a big difference, it tells us that it's mostly rain falling. And we're starting to see some indication that there's something aloft in the atmosphere near Alveda and New Regal, likely hail. As we can also look at the vertically integrated liquid, we can take a look to see how high in the sky some of these precipitation particles are getting lofted. I mean, they're getting lofted high in the sky. And we are looking at some very large, what the radar would see as raindrops, but to us, we would see that as hail. Again, Alveda, New Regal, where we saw that rotation. Now, this could even be debris. We did see rotation near Alveda and New Regal. We could see a little bit of debris being lofted if indeed there is a tornado on the ground. This is in the warning. This is an area that we're concerned about, and we even see a little bit of rotation on the radar as well. So Alveda, New Regal, we're seeing what could be either debris or large hail. We're seeing rotation. So this is a very dangerous spot to be in right now. Let me kind of zoom in a little bit more. I'm seeing Berwick, so the little intersection there between County Road 6 and State Route 587, County Road 591 as well. Okay, I got a new scan here, and just that area of rotation is now to the northeast of New Regal and now near the south side of Tiffin. So south side of Tiffin is where we need to be concerned right now for that. And again, there is some indication that there could be some damaging hail and or debris in the atmosphere at the moment.
Yeah, and Mike, I was just looking at that on the velocity side. There it is now. You can see these greens and reds. And again, we're still looking pretty far away from the Cleveland site, but these two areas in particular, as you can see right there, that is where we are concerned about the potential for some rotation. So again, Tiffin University was ordered to go to shelter just a short time ago, so hopefully they are in their safe places. Obviously, universities and campuses of any size have different criteria and things that they go through to ensure all their students and faculty are staying safe. I know the semester has just ended not too long ago, so hopefully there's not as many students on campus, but regardless, there's that hail threat that Mike was talking about. And as you can see, Mike, I feel like the bow itself is kind of fallen apart just a touch, but this could reorganize and reform again. And I think if we're going to see anything, it would still be on the back side. So if you're in Tiffin trying to get a view of this, you're not going to, because it is obscured by rain, and this is not something that I personally would want to go out and try to spot or take a good look at whatsoever.
No, and those are often the most dangerous ones because you can't see it coming, and it just in a way seems like just your standard heavy rain event where it's also being obscured, or there's that tornado potential being obscured by all the rain. It's impossible to see, and it is a very dangerous situation. Nick Owen wanted us to let everyone know that in Sandusky County, the sirens are going off everywhere in Sandusky County, including areas that are not in the warning. So that would be Fremont, up toward and even up toward the lake as well, if that is correct.
Yes, that is correct. So if you Gibsonburg, Woodville, Fremont, Clyde, you're not in the warning, but you're hearing the sirens now. Depending on how things trend, we could see that change in the next few minutes. But obviously, right, of greater concern right now is obviously into Seneca County. So Weather Service in Cleveland is also growing some concern about what Mike was pointing out, these two areas of rotation near New Regal, as they have gotten some reports of trees down in eastern Hancock County. So obviously there's some concern here, regardless if there's a tornado or not. But this is why we have a tornado warning in place, and that continues for another 21 minutes. And again, that does include Tiffin University, New Regal, Alveda, Fostoria, Bascom, and then also up towards Bettsville, and then it just crosses into Sandusky County, kind of in a rural area. And let me see if that was an update to anything. It looks like that was from the Pittsburgh office. Yeah, looks like they. So one thing to point out, Mike, is I've not seen a cancellation of that tornado watch just yet for anybody this evening, and that continues until 9 p.m. And despite the fact that those of you in Dayton and Cincinnati were not seeing much in the way of activity, but there is some new development kind of starting to build just a little bit, but I think that would be more of a linear fashion, and that could even get joined up with what we're seeing up here across north central Ohio this evening as well.
Yeah, I don't think the threat for thunderstorms is over for Cincinnati, Dayton, even in Central Ohio and Columbus. I do believe we might still hear more thunder, see more lightning, but the tornado threat it does appear to be diminishing. That's not the case for Northern Ohio. It does seem that there is still a lot of shear in the atmosphere, especially moving toward northeastern Ohio. But as the evening goes on, we're not seeing as much instability in places a little bit off to the east. So Cleveland and Youngstown, Akron, the instability isn't there, but there is a lot of twist in the atmosphere. So if this storm were to hold together, Huron County would be next. Spots like, Bloomville and Attica in Seneca County, Willard, New Haven, Bellevue, Monroeville in Huron County. That would also include Norwalk. Again, you're not in the warning yet. However, if this storm were to hold together, those would be spots to seriously consider, knowing where your safe spot is and being prepared to go there quickly if needed. Just want to take another look at any hail potential here. Yeah, on the south side of Tiffin, that's where that would be right now. And we've seen up to ping pong ball size hail across the state today. So that, by all means, is not ruled out. And then looking one more time at velocity again, where there is that area of rotation just south of Tiffin, on the south side of town, along 224. That would be a road to be concerned about.
Yeah, and I think if you're looking at Radar Omega, I think that is a couple scans old, because what I'm looking at now, it appears to have moved pretty much right into Tiffin, in Tiffin proper, that is, right along State Road 100. And we continue to see Hancock County has been dropped from the tornado warning at this point. They still continue severe thunderstorm warning with damage tag considerable for portions of Crawford, Seneca, and Wyandotte counties at this time. They continue the tornado warning until 6:30 for Sandusky and Seneca County. So you'll see some of those different things going on there. But as we continue to move along here this evening, I think we're going to continue to have some severe weather risk, as Mike said. That will likely be a problem. Now, those of you in Republic and Bloomville and Attica, it's not known whether or not they're going to continue this tornado warning. We've not heard anything just yet. We're watching the chat room very closely, obviously. There's a report of dime-sized hail in Bascom at 6:09, so it was about 3 minutes ago. Looks like potentially ping-pong ball-size hail reported by law enforcement. I'm not sure exactly where that report is, but certainly seeing some issues there. And also 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts was reported in Findlay at the Hancock County Airport just a short time ago. So certainly still having to deal with some issues this evening. But next in line would be Republican, Attica, and Bloomville in particular. Zach is saying that this storm has a good green tint to it. And Mike, that can sometimes be, as a kid, we were told that means tornadoes sometimes, but more than likely that's a sign of some pretty good concentrated hail going on as well.
Yeah, that is, I wouldn't really call it a misconception. I would just say maybe a partial misconception when it comes to the green sky. Because what's happening there is the sun's rays, especially this time of day where the sun's getting a little bit lower, but we're still at the peak heating, you're getting the sun's rays hitting the hailstones at an angle that the green light waves scatter. So when you think of, if you remember from science class, the electromagnetic spectrum, you have the rainbow, Roy G. Biv. Well, hailstones are particularly good at reflecting the green light off of sunlight. So that's why that happens. But the reason why there's an attachment to tornadoes there is because oftentimes for storms to be strong enough to produce a tornado, especially this time of year in May when you have a lot of instability in the atmosphere, they kind of go hand in hand. That's the situation right now where we have a tornado and a big hail threat. So in this sense, yes, the green sky is threatening, more so for hail, but it's also because the storm is strong enough and does have the shear and rotation for a tornado threat as well. So we have all modes of severe weather on this one, and all types is what I should say. Damaging wind, rotation like you're seeing right there, moving just a hair to the east of downtown Tiffin. And I would not be surprised if they put another tornado warning on this one for eastern Seneca, they have not done it yet, but I wouldn't be surprised. So eastern Seneca, maybe even western Huron, more of Sandusky County, and we'll have to watch very closely to see what the Weather Service does there to see if they're seeing something we're not. But it's not looking good, again, for Tiffin, Republic, and along 224 towards Attica, and maybe even Willard.
Yeah, and you see that velocity signature. That concerns me greatly. That's a lot. That's a lot of it, a little bit tighter, if you will. Now we're starting to get a little closer to the radar with each scan, so we're getting a little bit better look at this. But if you're in Tiffin right now, your time is up. You should be in a safe place. Cooper, Republic.
Right.
I may mispronounce this, but I believe that is Scipio. You also got Attica, Reedtown, Flat Rock. Even down towards Melmore, you're not in the polygon, but you're likely getting some intense rain and wind. All of you need to be in a safe place. And Mike, I'm watching pretty much straddling the tornado warning polygon over Melmore for potentially a new area of rotation. Could try to develop potentially there, as we're seeing, again, a little bit of an uptick in that hail, and it's also kind of on the southern end of the storm, so we'll watch that too. But man, that velocity signature looks very intense over, and as you just said there, just to the east of Tiffin. Yeah. I would think if they're going to issue a new warning, they'll have to do it here pretty quickly, I would have to think.
I agree, and another thing to note is we are, as the storm moves northeast, or really east-northeast, we're getting better radar coverage. So we're getting closer and closer to that Cleveland radar. So with each scan and each region that this storm moves into, we're going to see this better, which is good for us. We can get better data. We can get more precise tracks of where this is going to go. But yeah, you're right. I would just go. We don't have the warning yet, but I would go ahead to say if you're in Republic, Cooper, anywhere along 224 or State Route 18 and State Route 162. So 162 runs due east and west from Tiffin over to Huron County. Anywhere along that, you really should be in your safe spot, because this is a fast-moving storm. And it is concerning, especially since we're getting that better data now from that Weather Service radar out of Cleveland as the storm moves closer to it. And again, hail threat with this. We may even, if any rotation or a tornado did in fact touch down, I would not be surprised if we did have any debris lofted in the air, if that is the case. And yeah, I'm on Radar Omega right now, so I might be a scan or two behind you, but it is an intense situation. There is definitely some non-rain, either precipitation or maybe a little bit of debris in the atmosphere right now, anywhere between Tiffin and Melmore. So not a good situation, still dangerous there, and it's quickly becoming dangerous in eastern Seneca County.
Yeah, and as you look there on the screen, there is a very bright spot of dark purples and blacks showing up again. We've seen what this can do today multiple times down in central and portions of eastern Ohio. So Bloomville, you're not in a tornado warning, and neither is Attica, but this is the cell coming out of Melmore I was just talking about a minute ago, and that looks to be, at least for a brief time, a pretty good hailer, as I like to call them sometimes, as that continues to progress on through. So, again, no indication yet from the Weather Service of what they want and or are going to do. But, Mike, I think the rotation is about to move out of the polygon, which is a concern because we don't have any additional warnings. So I think that's a good call by you. If you said Republic, Attica, live in a safe place, or get to that safe place, obviously, as it stands right now.
Wow. We just got a picture from Owen.
He's got his drone up, is what that is. Wow.
Yeah, wow. Okay. Yeah. And then he's in Fremont, right?
He might be in Clyde, I believe. Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
yep. There it is. Yep. Looking towards Tiffin from Clyde. Okay. Perfect.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah, like you said, this storm is still dangerous, even though we haven't had any additional warnings. Pretty much I would say anywhere along the Seneca-Huron County line, even the north.
There it is.
There it is.
Yep, new tornado warning now for most of Seneca County, including New Regal. I'm a little stunned by that. Just a bit. We'll see if I can get some more details on that. It does now include Clyde and Sandusky County, southwestern Erie County, but it does not include Sandusky. and now western Huron County. So here we go again until 7 o'clock now. So an additional 45 minutes or so approximately. The Weather Service has now issued a new tornado warning. This is for radar indicated rotation near Tiffin, moving east at 45 miles per hour. I assume they were likely. It does take some time, Mike, as we've actually seen ourselves, to get these warnings drawn up and everything. So, but we continue to watch this. This is a very broad polygon, and I think this is based on what we've been seeing and based on some of the reports that I see coming in from Cleveland. I think this is a pretty good call to continue this at least for another round until we see if we get additional reports and things of that nature. But so now Owen's in the warning, so we'll see what he's going to do. Obviously, I know rain's about to move into his area, but obviously they have spotters that are on standby as well. But primarily, this has been a Seneca and Hancock and Putnam County problem, and not so much a Sandusky or a Wood or even an Allen County problem. Although Allen County did have some pretty good hail and wind earlier, based on what I'm seeing in some of the reports near Cairo. But outside of that, we got another tornado warning, but. Again, Mike, thankfully nothing reported on the ground yet, but we may not know that until after this is long gone, exactly what happened here.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, the hail threat is the hail and straight line wind threat, especially right there in far eastern Seneca County, Bloomville, Attica, Willard. The hail is we're seeing some very impressive hail signatures there. So a couple spots that are under the gun for that, and the rotation as well. So this is a little bit dangerous. Let me just take one look at the velocity really quick. Okay, yeah. So a big hail threat. So Attica, Willard, along 162, right there, Holiday Lakes. There's a lot of houses there on the lake. It's recreational, a lot of boats and stuff like that. It could be some heavy damage there. Just north of Willard, going up Route 99, then you're on the eastern fringe of the warning. So that includes Reedtown, right on the Huron and Seneca County line. I am not liking this hail potential here. It does not look good. There's going to be a lot of wind, and there may even be some debris in it. So any of those locations I just mentioned, Attica, Willard, Holiday Lakes, stretching up 99 toward Monroeville and US 20. Now's the time to be in a safe spot. This is fast moving.
Yes, this is very fast moving, and in fact, this is going to be approaching Willard within the next 15 minutes or so. Let's get you an updated track on this. And yes, Mike, I agree with you. This is not a very good-looking hail signature. New severe thunderstorm warning now for eastern Sandusky County, and I think this is going to be tagged tornado possible. Includes most of Erie County, all the way down into northern Richland County and most of Crawford County. So we're going to be tracking this for what looks like a little while. So, and yes, they did. Okay, they did not tag that tornado possible. So let me just ensure that we don't have a new tornado warning. Okay, they continue the tornado watch for. Okay, they've actually expanded it now to include Cuyahoga, Erie, Lorain, Geauga, Lorain, and Sandusky counties until 9 o'clock. So pretty much now up to the lake, we have a tornado watch until 9 p.m. That's kind of irrelevant at this point as we're now seeing the storms moving in, but obviously it still shows that the conditions are ripe for that development, but obviously the warning taking precedence over the watch at this point in time. But there's the latest track for you. So you've got Chatfield and Clyde 625, Attica 626, Willard 633, Norwalk at 640, and moving into Wakeman by 650, and that's just over the next half of an hour. So this thing is really booking it off towards the east at 55 to 60 miles per hour. We're approaching freeway speeds at that point. So also those of you along the Ohio Turnpike, this is going to be a problem. If you happen to be near any of those exits, you may want to get off and find a more substantial shelter. Also, US 224 continuing, US 6, US 20 up here as well, just name a few other roads. This does go down to Bucyrus, but I do think that the worst of this will stay north of Bucyrus, but obviously we still want to respect that polygon that we have in place. And they did not tag this tornado possible, but obviously, Mike, as we're seeing, they'll issue tornado warnings as they feel it's relevant.
Absolutely, and like you said, that polygon for Crawford, northern Richland, most of Huron, that's a 70 mile per hour straight line wind threat. And I do believe that's kind of what this storm is transitioning into. The rotation signatures aren't all that impressive at the moment, but that hail threat is a big deal, and that 70 mile per hour plus wind threat is a big deal. I mean, that's pretty much hurricane strength. And I'm just kind of really keeping an eye on a lot of alerts that I'm getting with this very large area now under a warning. But if you're in Bloomville, it's on top of you. If you're in Attica, you maybe have a minute or two. If you're in Willard, you maybe have about 5 minutes. I mean, this New Haven as well. So New Haven is along 224 on the south side of Willard. That's where we're looking at hail and wind threat. Also stretching the wind threat up into Norwalk. So Norwalk is a larger population center, the county seat of Huron County, and anywhere along 61 and State Routes 99, State Route 4, going to be getting some very intense wind very soon.
Yeah, then that's a reminder that Route 4 goes all the way from near Dayton all the way up here into northern Ohio. So it's a pretty pretty long road there. So, and Mike, one thing I'm noticing is even though we're not seeing the tornado signatures, I'm seeing a new kind of bowing structure developing from about Green Springs down through Attica, curving off there in northern Crawford County, there north of Bucyrus, and within that hail core appears to be spreading out a little bit and getting a little bit longer in terms of the just the length of it. So, and that's really impressive, and we'll have to watch the back end of this for any new rotations that may want to pop up. But this does include now Green Springs and Bellevue, as we said, down towards Willard and Attica. We can also see Monroeville. You're not in the... If you have a Monroeville address, I would probably consider just taking shelter anyway, just to be on the safe side. Some other communities in the path of this town. Flat Rock. You also got Hunts Corners, Bismarck, Havana, Siam, Stanton, Steuben, and Omar all in the path of this, and also Scipio or Scipio. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that, but there's certainly some very large hail returns within this. So you may get some wind-driven hail, and that does not sound like fun to me, Mike, whatsoever.
No, not at all. So yeah, Scipio, Attica, Reedtown, again, north of Willard. I know there's a lot of folks out there. In fact, I have friends that have a place out there on Holiday Lake, north of Willard. There's a lot of boats out there. Sustained a little bit of hail damage from this one. Again, that's on State Route 99 and 162. State Route 61, just to the east of that. You're not far away, and that hail threat is a major concern right now. Let me see if I can't look at that vertically integrated liquid, so that again tells us the essentially how much liquid is packed into the rain particles. It kind of tells us the size, but it also tells us the height. And yeah, still a lot of indication of some large hail out of this. So yeah, that is most of western Huron, eastern Seneca, right there along the line near State Route 4, Willard, Lakes, New Haven, and even the little crossroads there, Havana and Bismarck, both of those in Huron County. And I just got a new scan as well. So Attica, it's right on top of you.
It is.
Willard, you've got a minute or two. That's about it.
Yep. And that's going to be moving, and that's just how quick it's moving, guys. It is moving that quick. You don't have a lot of time to react. Weather Service is going to continue the tornado warning. They've now upped the hail threat, Mike, to ping pong ball, 1.5 inches. I'm not surprised by that at all. Based on the signatures that we're seeing, I think we'll see that they've also upped the hail on the severe thunderstorm warning to 1.5 inches in diameter as well, and that would obviously, for those that are going to be potentially outside of the tornado warning polygon, but still getting some hail. So obviously there's US 224 coming out of Tiffin going towards Willard. Yeah, that is coming right into Huron County. I mean, just in one scan, it's moving a couple of miles. So it's moving. It may be moving quicker at times. At least some spots in this line might be moving quicker than 60 miles per hour at times, just because of the sheer amount of wind that we are seeing on the backside. And we continue to see lots of wind on the backside. Good inflow as we use our probing tool here. Winds still in excess of 60 to 70 miles per hour, in some spots locally higher than that. So you obviously want to be indoors, be away from windows. And as a reminder, for those of you, Bellevue, Clyde, hopefully Owen's in his safe place. We've not heard from him, but obviously we've not seen anything of danger yet up in that area. But obviously still we want to respect that. We're still in the polygon up there, but obviously being a safe place. If you're in a mobile home, obviously get away from that area if you can and find a more substantial shelter. We continue now. That's US 20. That's a pretty heavily traveled road through portions of northern Ohio for those that want to bypass the turnpike and and stay off the turnpike. That is one route, one way to get you from northwest Ohio to northeast Ohio in a decent amount of time. But that's the way things stand. Real quick elsewhere, we're watching some strong storms into portions of Hardin County and Logan County, and we also still have a severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Muskingum and Cambridge and Coshocton and Noble counties as well. Obviously not nearly as intense as it was as it exited portions of Perry County a little while ago, but certainly still the potential for some stronger winds. Trees likely already weakened as they had some very heavy rain just a little earlier out here in southeastern Ohio. So we'll continue to monitor all that very closely. We'll take you back now to obviously area number one of concern is that tornado warning. And Mike, I'm even seeing some hail signs west of Fremont. They're coming into Sandusky County, kind of on the backside of whatever kind of feature you want to call this. So we obviously have the the smaller Boeing structure, but the kind of this S shape that goes from eastern Toledo through Wood County and then curves back into Bow Echo and curves back again down towards Kenton. So an interesting looking radar feature here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't ignore that portion of Sandusky County, which while Fremont is not technically in a severe thunderstorm warning, just to the east of Fremont is. And we still have to watch out for this. Some strong thunderstorms, sometimes the damage and the potential for danger does occur outside of the warning, especially when you're in such a volatile environment like we have this evening, where we have a lot of instability and a lot of shear in the atmosphere, which not only helps in cases of creating tornadoes, but it also does essentially provide energy for the storm to strengthen, sometimes in the lack of instability, but also just used in tandem with instability. It's just another way of providing energy. So we're seeing that a lot across northern Ohio right now. The Storm Prediction Center has noted that northern Ohio is still very much experiencing the ingredients for tornadoes, and that's why now Erie, Lorain, Cuyahoga, Geauga, Summit, Portage, and even Trumbull and Mahoning counties are now under a tornado watch as well because of that potential. And if you were watching us when we started about an hour ago, there were some storms near Mansfield. Those storms have now pushed north into Lorain County. Nothing severe there, but again, those did have a history of broad rotation. But it's the storm behind it that's now moving north of Willard, between a line of Willard to Bellevue, really across western Huron County, that we're concerned about at the moment.
Yeah, and Mike, I'm seeing some damage reports coming out of Hancock County. Just a couple here. Number one, an 18-inch tree limb down on Main Street in the gate for the railroad tracks has been damaged. Also, a 18-inch tree limb down on Main Street Also, 12 to 18-inch limbs down on a house in Hancock County, so that's not good news, not what we want to see there. Also, several tree limbs been reported down southwest of Findlay. That's right where that rotation went through there, so we may have to see if we get any additional reports, and the Weather Service could potentially be deployed out there to take a look at that. So Zach is going to ride this thing out in Bellevue at the current time, and they're in the tornado warning, so I know he's doing everything he can to stay safe as well and watching things. Mike, it will be noted that the secondary line that we're monitoring to the southwest of this into west central Ohio, the Weather Service out of Indianapolis and Wilmington are just kind of watching this for some small hail and gusts up to 50 miles per hour. So certainly moving into an environment that's already kind of been turned over just a little bit today down there towards Dayton and Cincinnati, but certainly not completely out of the woods just yet. But yeah, just seeing a couple of the reports coming in out of the Findlay area, and I'm not surprised. I think we'll see several more before it's all said and done. And Mike, I'm also now monitoring. I'll draw it up here on the screen. I know it might take you a second to see it on your end, but I am watching. It's going to be kind of a new. I don't want to call it a bookend vortice necessarily, but we may be seeing that trying to develop now on the northern end of that bow, potentially north of Bloomville. We'll have to watch that closely and see how that trends over the next few minutes, but just sometimes like to point out potentially some things that are coming up down the line, and obviously that could be one of them, and that'll be crossing really into southeastern Sandusky County here shortly, and obviously then into Erie County where Zach is at there in Bellevue. So hopefully we don't see anything significant there. But yeah, and then Cleveland also mentioned, Mike, that this is actually kind of riding along a boundary, and those other cells that are out ahead of it, as you're mentioning, into Lorain County and other portions of Erie and Huron County. They're mentioning that was kind of riding along that, and they've expanded that tornado watches. It's going to take some time to completely weaken, and I think that's a pretty good move based on what we've been seeing out there.
Yeah, absolutely, and that is that boundary that we've been kind of keeping an eye on all day, right along the warm front. And many of us have noticed when we went live this morning about, I would say 8 hours ago at about 10:30, we were talking about how chilly it was outside, and we were just getting that morning rain with thunderstorms. And today really turned into a warm, muggy, energetic day, and that is one of the driving reasons why we're having the severe weather threat that we're having. But on a day like today also, even though we've had a couple rounds of thunderstorms, even in spots like central Ohio, we still are watching that line from Bell Fountain down to Richmond, Indiana, impacting Dayton, Columbus. You may see that in a couple hours or so, and then really that strengthening in northern Ohio. So again, Cleveland now under a tornado watch because of the potential of what we've seen so far with this storm that's now impacting Huron County. So time's up in Willard. And even Norwalk, you got to watch out. You're not in the tornado warning. And, well, technically Willard isn't either, but I do believe there's a big hail threat there. And also spots like Norwalk, Milan, and moving into southern Erie County. So we will very much keep a close eye on this.
Yeah, and Mike, I almost kind of feel that part of this is starting to not only kind of wrap itself up a little bit more in terms of what I was just talking about a minute ago, but the overall movement. They seem to be wanting to ride pretty close now to those other showers that are kind of out ahead of it there, and I think obviously Cleveland made a good point of that as well. But I think we're kind of seeing part of this starting to move a little more northeast as this continues to kind of wrap around a little bit. And now where Zach is at in Bellevue, he should be getting some pretty good precipitation and likely some hail and stronger wind gusts. And a report of ping pong ball size hail coming in out of Bloomville about 13 minutes ago. So Mike, we were on that, and we got some confirmed large hail there, so we're likely could be seeing some of that same type of hail continuing now into Willard and Bellevue.
Yeah, those are the two spots we are concerned about. Again, right along State Route 99, that is a good bet. And right now, State Route 4, which runs just to the east of Bellevue, and then where it intersects with US 20. Huron County, if you're anywhere, I would say if we were to cut the county in half from Norwalk to the west, that's where that hail threat is happening right now. And we're watching for areas of rotation. It doesn't appear to be all that strong at the moment, except for a little area just south of Bellevue. I just got that scan in on my end. So
Yeah.
as soon as I said that, there it is. And that's why this situation is so dangerous, because these little areas of circulation can pop up so quickly, and they're obscured by rain, possibly obscured by hail. Not a good spotting situation, more of a stay in a safe spot situation as this evening rolls on.
Yeah, I just got a picture of a shelf cloud out of Norwalk. It's nothing overly impressive, but certainly, and that's a sign that there's strong winds coming. So be prepared for that as we continue to move forward. And I'll put the radar into motion so you can kind of see just over the last hour kind of the progression of how things have went. And again, we continue to see this moving off towards the northeast. Now, the next area of concern is going to be for those of you along Lake Erie and portions of Erie and even Lorain counties down the line. If you happen to be out on the water, it's time that you move indoors and get off the water and get off your boats into a more safe place here very soon, if you can possibly do so. So just something to kind of keep in mind. But just in the last hour, this has moved from Findlay to Bellevue. So it's moving very, very quickly, as Mike has mentioned a couple different times here this evening. We continue to still see this little bit of it's still clearly a bowing structure, and I think we still have that damaging wind risk. And yes, the velocities are certainly not what they were, but if we look at storm relative velocity, there could still be some, as Mike was saying, there near Bellevue. So don't be surprised if you're seeing some potentially nasty looking weather in that area, and even a little bit towards Clyde, at least of some strong winds potentially. In fact, I know a couple different things I'm going to look at. I know Owen has a tempest up at Tiffin University, and he also has one at his house. So I'm kind of interested to see what some of the readings were. Tiffin, an inch of rain, not surprised by that, and a max wind gust of almost 45, so not too bad there either. And then looking in Clyde, may not see much, seeing as how the worst of that stays east of Clyde, but it's extreme rain right now. Yeah, I believe that for sure. Peak wind gusts of about 20 miles per hour. So nothing overly impressive in Clyde right now, other than the extreme rain that is falling. And actually, just for a quick little laugh here, Mike, it's showing that if that were stationary right now, the rainfall rate is 8 inches an hour in Clyde.
Wow.
If it was stationary right now.
Yeah, that's intense, and that's why I remember when we were looking at some of the ODOT cameras earlier out of Hancock County, I did see quite a bit of ponding there on the side of the road. So some low-lying areas that have poor drainage, I am not going to be surprised if we do have some flooding, especially maybe in some of the farm fields anywhere across northern Ohio that has seen some of this heavy rain. But also those rainfall rates might be getting thrown off a little bit by the hail potential.
Absolutely.
But it's still there's heavy rain regardless. I mean, this is a dangerous situation not only for the tornado threat, but also because we have all types of severe weather. We have the flooding, the hail, the straight line wind. That is still an issue with this storm. And today has been, and this is owing to the instability that we've seen today, just how much hail we've seen in the storms. I know down in Zanesville we had severe hail down there with reports of ping pong ball, I should say, hail as well. So that's kind of the hail potential we're looking at in this Huron County storm. Couple areas of concern still about rotation. So I wonder if the Weather Service will decide to extend the tornado warning into Norwalk, Milan, and those portions of Huron and Erie County. It's not a very strong indication, but there are some signals of it. So
yeah, and
watch it very closely.
Mike, if you take a look down in eastern Ohio, there is a huge severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued from essentially Cambridge into Pennsylvania at this point. Goes until 7:15 for 60-mile-per-hour winds. That might be one of the larger polygons that I've seen in some time. So certainly need to be on guard if you're in eastern Ohio. There along and east of I-77 and north of US 50 is that, again, very large severe thunderstorm warning. Again, I've not seen anything that large in some time, so there's certainly some concern with that as we continue to progress off towards the next hour or so. And they've got that moving northeast at 70 miles per hour, so I imagine that could be part of the reason why that polygon is so large. So if you're in New Philadelphia, Wheeling, Cambridge, over here towards Steubenville, East Liverpool, Caldwell, to St. Clairsville and Woodsfield, being a safe place inside and away from windows, as several counties are under severe thunderstorm warnings. Too many to name at this point in time. We'll be sure to jump back to that in just a moment. But still continue with the tornado warning. I'm not seeing anything from the Weather Service. This is a good sign, although that was 8 minutes ago that they elected to continue that tornado warning. I'm not seeing any updates just yet. And this is coming into Norwalk now, straight away. This is certainly still some really intense weather still going on. Let's zoom into Norwalk for you. Right on US 20. That's a concern as well. And let's see what... Okay, that was just a special weather statement for Green, Clark, Miami Dark. Yeah, that's for that secondary line. So US 20, you can see there's Norwalk, the leading edge coming in right now. And what's funny, Mike, is the back edge of that's already exiting Monroeville. So that's a pretty thin, but I'm sure very intense line of wind and rain. But then it starts to lighten up at least somewhat fairly quick.
Yes. And it does appear that the threat for wind is now, like you said, outside of that tornado warning. So looking at some velocity and nothing too strong on the rotation side of things. So with the way it looks, that bow, that's telling me that it's becoming what is known as outflow dominant. So that means that the storm produces a lot more of the wind coming down out of the storm than what is getting drawn up into it through the updraft, and that's where the tornado threat is. That said, in these situations, you can always get a spin up or a brief area of rotation along the front, but really the primary threat here is going to be the hail and damaging wind. That said, things can change. They have within the last hour or so, as we've been tracking this since the first tornado warning back in Findlay more than an hour ago. But yeah, we will certainly be monitoring this as well. And Nick, I did just want to let you know, I unfortunately do have some stuff to get to this evening, so I may have to duck out soon. But I'll stick with you for a couple more minutes here and watch this as we see what the Weather Service decides to do moving forward.
They actually just selected to cancel the tornado warning.
Gotcha.
So
that makes sense.
Yes, it does. So with that said, we still have a severe thunderstorm warning for it's going to be $half size hail and winds to 70 miles an hour. I think that's still very much warranted, but the tornado threat at this time appears to have subsided. Still, though, be in a safe place and be indoors until the storm passes by. Fremont, some very heavy rain. Zach reported some minor street flooding in the Bellevue area. Let's jump down to eastern Ohio real quick, and then we'll wrap this up here this evening. Obviously, we're tornado warning free at this point. So here's this kind of conglomerate of thunderstorms, if you will. Nothing overly organized or intense, but from south of New Philadelphia through east of Cambridge, east of Caldwell, we'll continue to see those showers and storms. Borderline marginally severe. There was some quarter-size hail in Zanesville with that as it worked through, so likely one of the driving factors of seeing that. And then lastly, this the secondary line, which, Mike, there's an intense amount of lightning now developing from Kenton down towards Richmond, Indiana. So that line continues to build in a little bit, and once that passes, our severe threat is done for tonight.
Right, exactly, yeah. There's a lot of energy today, and the storms are taking advantage of it. That is for sure. But we will continue to watch that line stretching from this very severe storm in Huron County all the way down to about Preble County. So the storms from Upper Sandusky stretching all the way to Eaton pretty much have really blown up in the last 30 minutes. They're not right now severe, but you're going to hear rumbles of thunder. You're going to maybe get a brief gust of wind, maybe some lightning, so certainly something to keep an eye on. But this should be it. Back in Indiana, nothing too strong happening other than a few pop-up showers. So we're going to keep an eye on it very closely, but hopefully that threat will diminish. That said, not out of the woods yet, but hopefully it will diminish, especially once we get closer to sunset, which, by the way, I will look that up quick.
Yeah, I think we're about an hour and some change away from that. So
yeah, in Columbus it's 8:29, so that's going to vary a few minutes across the state, but generally 8:30, 8:29 is going to be our sunset. That's May. That's what we get.
It's getting to be that time of year. So I'll tell you what, folks, right now we are tornado warning free. We're going to break away here for just a little bit. If you live in Sandusky County, Erie County, Huron County, or portions of eastern Seneca County, still some strong to damaging winds for the time being. Cleveland says that the rotation just too disorganized to warrant a tornado warning, but they do say that spin-ups are still possible. And then over in eastern Ohio, far eastern Ohio, we're talking Tuscarawas, Guernsey, Noble, Belmont, Monroe, Harrison, Carroll, Columbiana, and Jefferson counties, and then Brooke, Hancock, Ohio, and Marshall counties in West Virginia. Severe thunderstorm warning, mainly wind-driven, and that goes until 7:15. And then the warning for Sandusky and Willard goes until 7 o'clock this evening. So for the time being, this is all we're going to have for now. Well, of course, if we get any pictures we want to post, we'll try to get those out for you. If we get any, send them to us when you can do so safely. But for meteorologist Mike Joyce, I'm forecaster Nick Dunn. Have a good evening, everybody, and stay safe out there, please.